Kemi Badenoch has defined herself as a culture warrior, and this seems to me to be slightly absurd. Her embrace of the culture war label evokes a self-styled combatant for tradition against perceived liberal incursions, or at least that's how she defines it. Her claim sits uneasily when juxtaposed with real historical figures who genuinely reshaped cultural norms, such as Orwell or Brecht or Malcolm X or Martin Luther. These individuals not only engaged with but transformed the very fabric of their societies, challenging oppressive systems, reimagining artistic expression. Stanislavski, and advocating for profound social change. Badenoch's speech in Washington, D.C. pivots on a narrative of liberalism hacked. What does she mean by that? Is that some reference to the hacking that she performed on Harriet Harman's computer? But she positions herself instead as a defender of classic liberal values. Well, that presumably would avoid the theft of computer information. Classic liberal values, free speech, meritocracy, rule of law. Well, she mentions those, but her practice is different, isn't it? Her practice is a snarl and not enough preparation. Her rhetoric relies heavily on symbolic skirmishes, gender-neutral loos, anti-racism movements, screaming racism when somebody questions her ability or her preparation, radical green absolutism, issues that she frames as emblematic of a broader ideological decay. Well, that broader ideological decay exists, but I'm afraid she is part of it. She is not the adversary to it. She is the representative of it. This approach, her approach, flirts with the superficial rather than the substance, focusing on surface-level conflicts rather than offering robust solutions or intellectual innovation, or indeed any solution at all, except for her own power. Where Orwell dissected the manipulative misuse of language by authoritarian regimes, Badenoch's speeches lean into the use of emotive inflection to stoke outrage without the intellectual depth or the literary clarity that Orwell championed. Brecht, by contrast, refined theatre as a space for critical social engagement, using his alienation effects to provoke introspection. Badenoch's brand of cultural combat, rooted in defending rather than deconstructing norms, lacks the transformative vision that Brecht brought to his work. Moreover, Badenoch's invocation of progressive authoritarianism as a critique of modern liberalism mirrors Orwell's concerns about doublespeak, but falls short of Orwell's incisive analysis and clarity. Her argument that the left uses oppressive narratives to infiltrate institutions reduces complex social justice movements to cynical manipulation, undermining genuine struggles for equity. Her speech champions a muscular liberalism and advocates curbing state expansion, yet it's unclear how this vision reconciles with the nuanced challenges of governance in modern democracies. Her alignment with figures like Thomas Sowell reflects a commitment to conservative principles, but her framing of herself as a warrior feels more like a rhetorical posture than a real cultural engagement. In comparison to culture warriors of historical significance, Badenoch's approach might be criticized as more reactive than revolutionary. If she can't be herself, then let's be some sort of brand. Figures like Malcolm X or Susan B. Anthony, for instance, fought to upend entrenched power dynamics, often at great personal risk, creating lasting change. Badenoch's fight appears to be to centre on preserving a status quo she perceives as under threat, offering fewer innovations and more resistance. And that status quo that she champions isn't the status quo of the Conservative Party or democracy. It's a status quo of her own indolence. This concept of a culture warrior is as vague or as specific as a Shambhala warrior. The people who gave her this sobriquet were attempting to flatter her with terminology that never needs to be substantiated. And the weakness of her argument, the weakness of her presentation, is that it's just wordplay. It's just games. There is no solid foundation here. Her claim to the title of culture warrior is more aligned with a political strategy of trying to acquire a definition late in life rather than a genuine cultural revolution that she wants to lead. She couldn't lead herself out of the cloakroom. While her rhetoric may resonate with some, it falls short of any transformative legacy left by historical figures who genuinely shaped the values that we live by through intellect, creativity, moral courage. Difference. Making a difference. Kemi Badenoch doesn't make a difference. Kemi Badenoch is filling a space. To flatter herself with the label of warrior without redefining the battlefield or the strategy risks turning the title into a hollow badge of honour. She might as well just queue up for to become a dame or a peer. This is nonsensical. A culture warrior, there's more culture in a cabbage.